of taking office, is now threatening to back out of peace negotiations between Ukraine and Russia because it's taking too long. And don't forget the eggs. The price of eggs is at a record high. It's a new record high, $6.23 per dozen. But Trump says prices are, quote, getting too low for your eggs. This is just a snapshot of the state of our union. But hey, don't worry. Trump is making America great again. Joining me now is Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. She's a member of the House Oversight and Accountability Committees. Congresswoman, it's good to see you. We just got that ruling at 1 a.m. from the United States Supreme Court. The court doubling back on an earlier ruling, giving the administration the go-ahead to deport these individuals. Do you feel hopeful, though, that the courts are trying to rein in Donald Trump? Are we really set in a constitutional crisis now? Because Trump flaunts the fact that he has no intentions of bringing Abrego Garcia back to America. I mean, check out what was posted on X yesterday by the official White House account.
Yeah, Katie, first of all, it's great to see you this morning. Yeah, so first of all, it's great to see you. And one of my colleagues actually put this post up in a group chat, and I was like, okay, this isn't real, right? Because it was just a picture. And then she was like, no, it's absolutely real. And I was like, who are we and where are we living and who is running this country? Because the level of childness that we saw in this post, but also just the level of cruelty and the level of admission that we've seen, right? Like, Katie, you and I both know that ultimately this is not the last that we have seen of this post. This post will most likely show up in some court filing when they are trying to determine whether or not this court has, or I'm sorry, this administration has intentionally decided that it wanted to ignore a court order. This will most likely show up in a contempt hearing. So I don't know why, I don't know who's advising, or I don't know if they really do care. The reason that I was cheering, though, was because of all courts, I cannot imagine that it was anybody on really this court, this particular court, that at 1 a.m. decided that they were going to do right, besides obviously the three that have their heads on correctly. So the fact that this wasn't a 9-0 decision is still very disappointing, but the fact that we got to a 7-2 is a win, especially at 1 in the morning. And essentially what this does is kind of like what Judge Boasberg did when he said, hey, stop, do not deliver those people into El Salvador, turn that plane around. Basically, they're saying that plane better not take off, and we know how y'all like to act. So we will see ultimately what the Supreme Court comes up with, and I'm not necessarily the most hopeful about the Supreme Court, but we also will see how this court decides to act. And I think right now they're trying to figure out, is this a administration that will even ignore our court orders? And I think that that may sway how they decide to rule on this particular underlying issue.
And, you know, Maryland Senator Van Hollen just went to El Salvador after meeting with Kilmer Abrego Garcia. He said he thinks that El Salvador was feeling some pressure, and that's why they let him meet with him. But ultimately, Nayib Bukele saying he's going to remain in the custody of El Salvador. We need to see more action, though, from people kind of emulating what we saw from Senator Van Hollen, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So first of all, kudos to Senator Van Hollen. And honestly, that's what it looks like to be an elected representative. He represents Maryland. This is someone who is a Maryland resident, and he decided that he was going to go down there and check on him. And honestly, I don't know that I was convinced that he was alive. I really don't. And so I was happy to see that he was alive, number one. But number two, if Senator Van Hollen can get down there, if the president can get up here and get to the White House, then I don't understand why we can't get Abrego up out of there. I mean, we know that they admitted that they were wrong. Now they're trying to double back and say, well, he's this terrible person and all this kind of stuff. But here's the reality. As far as I'm concerned, he's a lot less criminal than the person that's sitting in the White House, because last time I checked, he doesn't have any criminal convictions. I don't even think he has any outstanding cases, versus the guy that still had cases pending when he was sworn in on January 20th and also has 34 felony convictions. So listen, I don't want to hear anything from the Republican Party about how they're trying to keep us safe when their fearless leader is actually the biggest criminal thus far that we have seen, because I haven't seen anybody with a rap sheet that looks like the president's.
So I want to exercise a point of personal privilege right now. I'm going to play a really quick clip for you, Congresswoman, and ask you a question on the other side. Take a watch and listen. My next guest joining me now is Texas State Representative Jasmine Crockett. Representative, so happy to have you here. I know you had a busy day yesterday. Well, Texas State Representative Jasmine Crockett, thank you for being here, and thanks for all of your advocacy. We appreciate it. Okay, that was you and I 3 years ago. That was your first time on the Katie Phang show. This is the second to the last episode of the show. Congresswoman, I wanted to thank you for always getting up and early and delivering it, but I also want to say thank you for your continuing support for democracy. It's definitely something that you have made your brand, and it's the integrity that you're bringing, and I'm grateful for you always.
We'll miss you.
Oh. You can't have me crying at the beginning of a show, Jasmine. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, you haven't seen the last of me. Thank you for being here and getting us started today. I always appreciate you. Thank you. Gosh. And joining me now is Rhonda Fox. Rhonda Fox, founder of Persist.
When life gives you chaos, do you know what you do? You just make a Lego set out of it. True story. I found myself at Legoland and waiting for the family. It just made me realise that this Easter, the masterpiece, the Trump administration, should actually be an Easter 2025 edition. Kind of the only Lego set where the pieces don't fit the instructions and everything's written in crayon, and I suppose the box is on fire. First up, we have the Department of Government Efficiency. I'm sorry, it's a bit windy here. Led by none other than Elon Musk, because he streamlined the government. Remember, he fired, was it 77,000 federal workers? Still not sure. It's like Marie Kondo visited the White House and decided that, is that a plane? Don't fall from the sky. That's not funny. That none of the employees sparked joy. Next, let's talk about the Liberation Day tariffs. You remember President Trump declared April the 2nd as Liberation Day and imposed the 10% tariffs on all imports. Well, it started at 10%. Who knows where it's going to end up by the end of Easter? And nothing says liberation like making everything more expensive. It's like throwing a party and charging your guests at the door. Okay? And by the way, who can forget the hands-off protests? Well, most of the cable news in America, they ignored the story. Millions of Americans actually took to the streets, demanded the administration keep their hands off of Social Security, Medicaid, and, well, everything else. You know, it's the first time in history I can think that people have protested to keep things exactly the same. Still not sure why that story wasn't covered by mainstream media. Well, legacy media is the correct 2025 term. Anyway, in a bold move, the administration decided to eliminate Head Start and make sweeping health cuts. Not sure about that one, because who needs early childhood education and healthcare when you can have, well, I'm not sure what you really get with the cuts. I have absolutely no idea what you're getting in return. Sorry about that. I'm just an outsider looking in. Anyway, let's not forget, since we're talking about cuts, the environmental policies. Is there anything environmentally actually existing which this administration is going to do? They propose changes to the Endangered Species Act, putting panthers, owls and turtles at risk. Because, sorry about the cliche, nothing says progress like endangering endangered species. There's a seagull, literally. A seagull flying around there. I see it. Anyway. In a twist no one saw coming, the administration sought corporate sponsors for the White House Easter event. That was hardly a surprise, because if you think of the resurrection of Jesus, you naturally think of product placement. What Trump does. You're just hoping, when's his family coming so he can stop wittering on while he's in the car? I'm waiting, I promise you. I'm literally outside Lego now, waiting for them to turn up. Anyway, there you have it, folks. The Trump administration Easter 2025 Lego set. It's chaotic, it's confusing, and guess what? It's missing half the pieces. And it hurts if you step on a piece not wearing anything on your feet. But hey, at least it's not, well, I was going to say boring, but you know, you'd rather it be boring. This Lego set is literally collapsing on itself. Remember, when life gives you chaos, wow, make a Lego set out of it.
We're live now, and Jim is talking about. I said he's got the perfect anchorman hair, even though you don't need the suit and the tie and the pancake makeup anymore, but you still got the hair, Jim.
You got to have the hair, and the hairs look better than this. But this is post town hall hair, is what I'm calling this.
Yeah, Jim, the No Fear Town Hall. By the way, thank you so much for inviting me to be a guest. It was really, really great. What's your takeaway? What did you think?
I really enjoyed it, Don, and honestly, it was great to be reunited with you. And this is such an important time in our country, such an important moment in our country, that I think it is therapeutic, it's informative, it's uplifting to get together with people who have the same sort of belief system that, saving our democracy, saving the American way of life is important, and then also to do it in front of a big audience, Don, where you had some really sincerely patriotic and just earnest people who want to get to the bottom of what's happening right now. So I just thought it was a great discussion, and we had a wonderful panel, and you were incredible, as I knew you were going to be. So I'm glad we did it. Really glad.
I love hearing from all the people there. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Harry Dunn was fantastic. Tara Setmeyer was fantastic. I love Olivia Troy. Let's talk about Olivia Troy next. Yeah. And of course, having Michael there. But my new thing, and I told you, my new thing is to listen more. And I think last night people they had so many questions. Like they just have so many questions for us.
It's true.
And I'm hopeful that they do. Did you learn anything?
It was interesting when Dan Luria, the actor from the Wonder Years, he was in the audience with us, and I was like, wow, okay, this is great. But, the way he said that people want to fight, they want to fight back, and not in a violent way, but they want to resist, they want to push back. And, I think it's helpful, Don, for you and I to, as you were saying earlier, just listen and sort of absorb that. I think people are in a fighting mood right now. They want to push back. They don't want to just roll over and take this crap that's going on in this country right now. We have the president of the United States saying, well, we can just take American citizens and send them to some gulag in El Salvador and so on. This is some crazy, surreal, batshit dystopian stuff. And it's not just you and I who feel that way, Don. And it's not like you and I can be accused of just having the Trump derangement syndrome and so on. When real people in the audience feel this way, we're obviously onto something, Don.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Also, what I got? Yes, you're right. We're sorry. About to knock my camera off of the thing. Yeah, I know that we're onto something. Look, and then you realize that sometimes you're in a place or in a position where you can't authentically be yourself, or sometimes it sort of plays tricks on you, like, oh my gosh, am I crazy? And then you get out and you talk to people, and you realize, well, no, I'm not crazy. People are hurting. There was, I said last night, every time I do a live stream where I have interaction with the audience, so I talk to someone on the streets, I feel like we are in group therapy or in need of group therapy. And I say that in a sincere way because people just don't know what to do. One of the last questions last night was, what do we do? And I said, I don't really have an answer, but you have to be willing to sacrifice something.
That was such an honest moment when you said that, Don. And I think it resonated in the room because there are a lot of other people who are saying to themselves, I don't know what to do. I watch the news. It drives me nuts. What do I do besides that? And I think the answer is, and we all talked about this, you talked about this too, the demonstrations, the rallies, the town halls, get involved, get engaged. Don't just sit on your couch and take all this crap. Get up and do something. And I think everybody left last night with that feeling, which I think is an incredibly positive thing.
Yeah. I also talked, Jim, about, and which was mentioned last night, a lot of folks ask, how do we sort of get people together? I think that Democrats, not just Democrats, because I'm not a Democrat or a Republican, but Democrats are the ones who can hold our democracy together, if that's even possible right now. I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. But how do Democrats and people who care about democracy, whether they be Republican, Libertarian, or whatever, how do they create, or how do we create an echo chamber that is as loud and as big and as strong and as powerful as the right, as the broadcasters who get all of the money, dumped into their podcasts and their streaming shows? How do we get Democratic politicians on board to get them to understand that these streaming spaces are just as important, if not more important, than legacy media. You and I both were on cable, but I think we were living kind of in a bubble to think that we had the reach that we once did. And I hate to say that, but it's true. So
it's kind of gone. Yeah.
Yeah. How do we get people to understand? How do we get politicians to understand that, and some, just the general public?
I think that what you're hitting on is tremendously important. I think more than just having an echo chamber or an ecosystem, we need to rebuild the information system of this country. And that, I think a huge component of that is going to be independent media, what you and I are doing right now, Don. And people are gravitating towards it. I mean, we were talking about this last night. One of the reasons why they showed up at this town hall, one of the reasons why they tuned in, not just here on Substack, but on the Midas Touch and Show and so on, is because people want to engage. They want to be a part of the process. One of the things I love about Substack is we're democratizing the process. We're bringing the people in. You're seeing the comments at the bottom when people tune in and want to weigh in. And that's hugely important. And one of the issues that we have right now, and you and I both know this, is that you see out there on the right, there are the Joe Rogans of the world, the Ben Shapiro's of the world, the Megyn Kelly's of the world, a lot of bad faith actors pumping a lot of bullshit into people's heads on a daily basis. And what we need that's going to help save our democracy, Don, is getting folks like you and me, people who care about the truth, the facts, giving people information. You're a newsman, Don. You love doing that. I love doing it. And we just have to put that love into action and get people information and fight like hell and do it every day, do it here, do it on all these different platforms. And I think over time, that is going to grow into something that is going to have an impact and help build up a new information infrastructure in this country. We desperately need it right now.
Yeah, and look, I said echo chamber, I think, but I meant ecosystem, but also an echo
chamber.
No,
I knew exactly what you meant.
Yeah, but no, seriously, I just want to clarify. But I mean, maybe even an echo chamber, because I think you're going to need to reach people, and if the truth is echoing, then so be it.
You need echo. You echo, I echo. I mean, it's a huge part of this. There's no question about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, I'm trying to, I think we all need to support each other. And I have, some of the folks in the streaming spaces. A lot of these people I did not know. I don't know if Cenk Huger, right?
All these
Dave
wonderful
Packman
people.
And Brian Tyler Cohen. So when I first started, I had them on my show, and I called them MAGA's worst nightmare. And so every once in a while, I bring the band back together. So I'm bringing the band back together with MAGA's worst nightmare. But I think that they're going to be on my YouTube show at 5:00 today, Eastern time. But you may have to become part of the MAGA's worst nightmare band, because
that's what we are. Because this is about the news, Don. This is about truth. This is about facts. And there are a lot of people out there, the bad faith actors. What the hell are they going to be doing the next 4 years? They're just going to be kissing Trump's butt and repeating what he says. I mean, is that how they want to eke out a living? Okay, go ahead, have fun, have at it, Joe Rogan, have at it, Megyn Kelly. Don, you and I are going to be out here giving people the truth and giving people the news, which is what we need to do, and do it in a new and different way. And you were talking about, Democrats, Republicans, independents, people who care about democracy. You and I both know this. We're not in a left-right world anymore. We're in a pro-democracy, anti-democracy world, at least in the United States. And I think it's very clear which side you and I are on, and the people who care about this stuff. Look at Olivia Troy, former Republican, worked in the Trump White House, worked for Mike Pence. She was, for the longest time, a tried and true Republican. Cares desperately about this country, cares desperately about preserving democracy, and she speaks from the heart. And I think that's why folks like her resonate so well. So it's not just, an ideological thing, like people who are on the left feel a certain way, people on the right. It's about preserving and protecting this American way of life. And at the heart of that is protecting our democratic institutions, protecting the free press. I mean, Don, when Trump is out there thumbing his nose at the judge who says, let the AP back in, and he's trying to ban other news outlets and wire services, that's outrageous. And we need to be on the side of protecting those folks, standing with those folks.